Welcome in, everybody. This is going to be part 3 for the Book of Enoch. So we're just going to kind of start playing it and keep doing kind of the stopping and going that we've been doing. So hope you guys have been enjoying it so far. Remember to hit that like button if you are enjoying it, and subscribe if you want to see some more spiritual books and other text content. Thanks for watching.
The wicked device, and has led them astray to destroy their. The name of the first Yakun. He is the one who has led astray all the children of the holy angels, and has led them down on the earth, and has led them astray through the daughters of men. And the second is called Asbael, and he is the one who has taught the children of the holy angels the wicked device, and has led them astray to destroy their bodies with the daughters of men.
Hunt.
And the third is called Gadrael. He is the one who has taught the children of men all the blows of death, and led astray Eve, and showed to the children of men the instruments of death, the coat of mail, and the shield, and the sword for battle, and all the instruments of death to the sons of men. And from his hand they have come over those who dwell on the earth, from that time to eternity. And the fourth is called Penamu. He has taught the sons of men the bitter and the sweet, and taught them all the secrets of their wisdom. He taught men writing with ink and paper, and thereby many sinned from eternity and to eternity up to this day. For men were not born to the purpose that they should thus strengthen their fidelity with a pen and with ink. For man was not created otherwise than the angels, that they should remain just and pure.
I think that what this is talking about right now is actually referencing that unearned knowledge, because the angels taught them about writing and everything before they had that knowledge themselves.
Collapse.
Yeah, so it made society have some things happen to it, possibly a collapse, when that was introduced, when it shouldn't have. It's the same with the weapons and everything else that the angels gave the humans, because the humans didn't find them themselves. The angels gave them that knowledge according to the Book of Enoch, or this parable, however you want to put it.
And death, which destroys all things, would not have touched them. But through this their knowledge they are destroyed, and through this power it devours me. And the fifth is
My name is Joseph.
Kisdeha. He has taught the sons of
Hi,
men
Joseph.
all the wicked beatings of the spirits and the demons.
That was Jesus'
the
dad's
beatings
name.
of the birth in the womb, that it fall, and the beatings of the soul, the bites of the serpent, and the beatings which take place at noon, the son of the serpent, whose name is Tabat. And this is the number of Kesbael, who showed the head of the oath to the holy ones, when he dwelt high in glory, and his name is Bekah. And this one said to the holy Michael that he should show them the secret name, that they might see that secret name, and that they might mention this name in the oath, and they may tremble before that name, the oath, those that showed to the children of men all that is secret. And this is the power of
Village.
that oath, for it is powerful and strong, and he placed this oath, Akeh, into the hands of the holy Michael. And these are the secrets of this oath, and they were strengthened by his oath, and heaven was suspended before the earth was made, and to eternity. And by it the earth was founded on the water, and from the secret places of the mountains come beautiful waters for the living, from the creation of the world to eternity.
Secret place, hidden place is all over the Bible as well. It's kind of like your state that you go to when you're like talking to God.
Destroy.
Or in like meditation. They don't want you to have the secret place. Is that what you're saying? To destroy? But that's kind of like your protective place too. It's the same, like energetically, that's your place with like you and God, that you can just kind of go and just kind of meditate and be still and try and listen.
And by that oath the sea was created, and as its foundations he placed for it sand, for the time of rage, and it dare not pass into eternity. And by that oath the depths were strengthened and stand and do not move from their places, from eternity and to eternity. And by that oath the sun and the moon complete their course and depart not from their commands from eternity and to eternity. And by that oath the stars complete their courses, and he calls their names, and they answer him from eternity and to eternity. And also the spirits of the water and of the winds, and of all the zephyrs and their paths, according to all the unions of the spirits. And in it are preserved the repositories of the voice of thunder, and of the light of the lightning. And there are preserved the repositories of hail, and of the hoarfrost,
The chair of
and
torture.
the repositories of the fog, and the repositories of the rain, and of the dew. And all these believe in and render ranks before the Lord of the spirits, and praise him with all their power, and their food is all giving. And they thank and praise and exalt in the name of the Lord of the spirits to all eternity. And over them this oath is strong, and they are preserved by it, and their paths are preserved, and the courses are not destroyed. And there was great joy among them, and they blessed and honored and exalted, because the name of the Son of Man had been revealed to them. And he sat upon the throne of his glory, and the sum of the judgment was given to him, the Son of Man. And he causes to disappear and to be destroyed the sinners from the face of the earth, and also those who have led astray the earth. They shall be bound with chains, and shall be imprisoned in the assembling place of destruction, and all their work shall disappear from the face of the earth. And from that time on there will be nothing that will be destroyed, for he, the Son of Man.
That sounds really interesting. It's kind of like what the parable is talking about, at least, is like erasing the things that shouldn't have been taught to man and allowing the angels to just be angels and not be
Use something else.
use something else. But the word of that Son of Man will be strong before the Lord of spirits. You want to use that? The word that was with God and the word that was God?
You heard me.
So you want to reference the Spirit then? The Spirit that inhabits the man in the story. A similar spirit to the Spirit that God possesses. This is the third parable of Enoch, is how it ends.
Has appeared, and sits on the throne of his glory, and all wickedness will disappear before his face and depart. But the word of that Son of Man will be strong before the Lord of the spirits. This is the third parable of Enoch.
You heard me. Use something
Section
else.
12, chapter 70. And it came
Y'all
to
are
pass
ridiculous.
after this, that his name was elevated during his lifetime to that Son of Man, to the Lord of the spirits, away from those
I
who
was
dwell
punished.
on the earth. And it was elevated on the wagons of the Spirit, and the name departed in their midst. And
Away from those who dwell on the earth, and then it said, I was punished.
from that day I was not drawn in their midst, and he set me between two winds, between the north and the west. There, where the angels took the cords to measure for me the place for the chosen and for the just. And there I saw the first fathers and the just, who dwell in this place from the beginning. Chapter 71. And it came.
First fathers and the just from the beginning of time. So this is separated.
It's dangerous.
Separated out since the beginning as well. What's dangerous?
Came to pass after this that my spirit was hidden, and it ascended into the heavens. There I saw the sons of the angels stepping on a flame of fire. Their clothes were white, and also their garments, and the light of their faces was like crystal. And I saw 2 rivers of fire, and the light of that fire flamed like hyacinth. And I fell on my face before the Lord of the spirits. And Michael, an angel from among the chiefs of the angels, took me by the right hand and lifted me up, and led me out to all the secrets of mercy and to the secrets of justice. And he showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven, and all the repositories of the stars and of the luminaries, where whence they proceed into the presence of the holy ones. And the Spirit moved Enoch into the heaven of heavens. And I saw there in the midst of the light how there was something which was built of crystal stone, and tongues of living fire. And my spirit saw how a fire surrounded this house, on the 4 sides, rivers full of living fire, and how they surrounded this house. And around about where seraphim
I can't
and
find my
cherubim
way.
and ophanim, these are they who do not sleep.
The seraphim, cherubim, and ophanim, which are also heavenly deities like the archangels. They don't look like people with wings.
But guard the throne of his glory. And I saw angels who could not be numbered, 1,000 times 1,000, and 10,000 times 10,000, surrounded that house. And Michael and Raphael, Gabriel and Phanuel, and the holy angels who are in the high heavens, enter and leave that house. And Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, and many holy angels without number came out of that house, and with them the head of days, his head white
Hilda.
and clean as wool, and his garments beyond description. And I fell on my face, and all my flesh melted, and my spirit was changed. And I cried with a loud voice, with the spirit of power, and I blessed and honored and exalted. And these blessings which proceeded from my mouth were pleasing before that head of days. And that head of days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, and with thousands, and with 10,000 times 1,000 angels without number. And that angel came to me and greeted me with his voice, and said to me, Thou art a son of man who was born to justice, and justice dwells over thee, and the justice of the head of days will not depart from thee. And he said to me, He calls peace unto thee in the name of the world which is to come. For thence peace proceeds since the creation of the world, and thus it will be to thee to eternity, and from eternity to eternity. And all who will continue to walk in thy path, thou whom justice does not leave in eternity, their dwelling places will be with thee, and they will not be separated from thee in eternity, and from eternity to eternity. And so long life will be with that Son of Man, and peace will be to the just, and his right path to the just, in the name of the Lord of the spirits.
Laura.
So apparently the archangels visit regularly this house, and it's kind of like that empty seat that God had at the beginning of the parables, where there was the empty seat of justice that had the tree of wisdom there as well. That was the beautiful tree. If you remember that from the beginning of kind of the story of Enoch. I know this is getting long, so keeping all this stuff. I'm glad I'm doing a video so you guys can watch it again if you want. If you don't want to watch it again, that's fine. But it's a really cool kind of alternative to Revelations of like, this is kind of like what the end times are going to be. So that like, it's just more benevolent, I would say, even for the ending, because it says anyone who is participatory in the justice and protecting that manifestation of justice is never going to be disconnected from them for eternity. Hung?
To all eternity. Section 13, Chapter 72.
13.
The book of the courses of the luminaries of heaven, how it is with each one of them, as to their classes, their governments, their times, as to their names and origins, and as to their months, which their leader Uriel, a holy angel who was with me, showed to me, and their whole description, as it is he showed to me, and how it is with respect to all the years of the world, and till a new creation is made, which will continue to eternity. And this is the first law of the luminaries, its ascent in the portals of the heavens which are towards the east, and his descent in the western portals of heaven. And I saw 6 portals, out of which the sun ascends, and 6 portals into which the sun descends.
Okay, so this part is going to be very much symbolic. I wouldn't take these to be like literal.
Sometimes.
Yes, sometimes. They could be real portals that are up there that go up and down, and like they go from heaven down to hell, and then there's portals that come back up to heaven as they go, and angels and demons interact with each other. Sure, that could be a thing. But in this case, what it's talking about in heaven is there's 6 portals in which the sun descends. The moon also rises and sets in these portals too. So it's the sun and the moon both from each of these portals, and 6 of them are up and 6 of them are down. So split in an even duality, it's 6 and 6, which is interesting because I kind of thought they were 4 and 4 on my own intuition, but 6 and 6 is kind of cool. It makes 12.
Descends. The moon also rises and sets in these portals, and the leaders of the stars and those led by them, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all, each after the other, aright.
Duality.
Also many windows to the right and to the left of these portals. And first comes forth the great luminary called the sun. It is like the circuit of the heavens, and he is entirely filled with flaming and heating fire. The wagons on which he ascends are driven by the wind, and the sun, descending, disappears from the heavens and returns through the north in order to reach the east.
Amazed.
And is led that he comes to that portal and shines on the surface of heaven, and thus he comes forth in.
Well, because I said that for the sun rising and setting, that some of the stuff is not literal. Is that why you're amazed?
The first month in the great
Mirror's
portal,
reflection.
and he
You're a
comes
mirror.
forth from the fourth of these 6 portals towards the east. And in that 4th portal, from which the sun comes forth in the first month, there are 12 window openings from which a flame proceeds, when they are opened in their time. When the sun rises from the heavens, he comes out of that fourth portal 30 mornings, and descends directly into the fourth western portal of heaven. And in those days, the day is daily lengthened, and the nights nightly shortened to the 30th morning. And in that day, the day is 2 parts longer than the night.
So what I think this is talking about for the portals is kind of like the cycle of our seasons. That's what it's talking about here, where you have days where it gets longer, days that it gets shorter, but in the context of what it's saying in the story is at certain times of the year it changes into a portal, and then that's what begins that new season. That's what the parable's saying, at least. I know these is complex, so if you guys disagree or have any comments or any other ways of thinking about it, I'd be happy to hear those as well.
The day is exactly 10 parts, and the night
Elmer.
8 parts. And the sun comes forth from this fourth portal, and sets in the fourth, and returns to the fifth portal of the east 30 mornings, and comes forth from it, and descends into the fifth portal. From then on the day is lengthened 2 parts, and the day is 11 parts, and the night is shortened, and is 7 parts. And the sun returns to the east, and goes into the sixth portal, and comes forth, and descends into the sixth portal, 31 mornings on account of its sign. And on that day the day is longer than the night, and the day will be double the night. And the day is 12 parts, and the night is shorter, and is 6 parts. And the sun is raised, so that the day is shortened, and the night is lengthened, and the sun returns to the east, and enters the sixth portal,
I'm angry.
and rises from it.
Why are you
and
angry?
says 30 mornings. And when the 30 mornings are completed, the day diminishes by exactly 1 part, and the day is 11 parts, and the night 7 parts. And the sun comes forth from this sixth portal in the west, and goes to the east, and rises in the fifth portal 30 mornings, and sets in the west again in the fifth portal. On that day the day diminishes 2 parts, and the day will be 10 parts, and the night 8 parts. And the sun comes forth from that fifth portal, and descends into the fifth portal of the west, and
I know
Witchcraft.
maybe this is what they're angry about. That on here it's talking about the day in 18-part increments. I would extrapolate the numbers to be a common multiple of 6 and take it out to 24 for this context. For kind of thinking about everything. If you're taking notes or whatever, if you're not, that's fine. But to get it on our 24-hour days that we are on, that's an easy way to do it, to figure out kind of like the parts, and you can see if it lines up or whatever you're researching about it. Whatever you're being called to do.
rises in the fourth portal on account of its sign 31 mornings, and descends in the west. On that day the day is equal to the night, and becomes equal. And the night is 9 parts, and the day 9
That's the equinox.
parts. And the sun comes forth from that portal, and sets in the west, and returns to the east, and comes forth from the third portal 30 mornings, and sets in the west in the third portal. And on that day the night is longer than the day to the 30th morning, and the day becomes shorter daily to the 30th morning. And the night is exactly 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. And the sun comes forth from that third portal, and sets in the third portal in the west, and returns to the east. And the sun goes into the second portal of the east 30 mornings, and in like manner
witchcraft made him
into
angry.
the second
They left
portal
me.
in the west of the heavens. And on that day the night is 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun comes forth on that day from the second portal, and descends into the west, into the second portal, and returns to the east in the first portal 31 mornings, and descends into the west, into the first portal. And the sun comes forth on that day from the second portal, and descends in the west into the second portal.
I
and
don't know why
returns to the
Enoch
east in the
took so
first
much
portal 31 mornings, and descends into
time
the west
to talk
into
about
the
this.
first portal. And on that
But
day,
maybe
the
it
night
talks
will be
about
so
the seasons
long
if you do all the
that it
math
will
for
be
this, and
the
that's supposed to be
double of that
something
day.
important or something.
And
I don't
the
know.
night is exactly
This
12
is a
parts,
lot of
and
just
the day
portal
6
talk
parts.
for the
And with that, the
sun.
sun has completed his stations, and he again returns to his station and enters in this portal 30 mornings. He rises and sets opposite it in the west. And on that day, the night diminishes in length by 1 part, and is 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun returns and goes into the second portal of the east, and returns to his course 30 mornings, rising and setting. And on that day the night diminishes in length, and the night is 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. And on that day the sun comes forth from the second portal, and descends in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the third portal 31 mornings, and sets in the west of the heavens. And on that day the night is shortened,
That
and
was
is
him.
9 parts, and the day is 9 parts. And the night is equal with the day, and the year has exactly 364 days, and the length of the day and of the night, and the shortness of the day and of the night, by the course of the sun, they are made separated. On that account, the day course becomes longer daily, and the night course shorter nightly. And this is the law, and the course of the sun, and his return, when he returns. 60 times he returns and comes out. That is the great eternal luminary, which is called the sun to all eternity. And that which thus ascends is the great luminary, as it is called on account of its appearance, according to the command of the Lord. And thus he ascends and descends, and is not diminished, and does
Night.
not rest, but runs day and night in his chariot.
Day and night. Not being scared of the night, but day and night the chariot's running. And they emphasize night as it was saying that, so.
And his light shines 7 times stronger than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal.
Did you catch that? The sun is 7 times as bright, but they are equally matched between the sun and the moon in duality.
Section 14, Chapter 73. And after this law I saw another law with reference to the smaller luminary, whose name is Moon, and her circuit is like the circuit of the heavens, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind. And in a measure light is given to her. Every month her ascent and her descent is changed. Her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is equal, her light is the 7th part of the light of the sun. And thus she rises.
The 7th part,
I didn't want to die.
meaning the sun is more beautiful because of the light that it gives the moon. That's the extra piece.
And her beginning in the east comes forth.
But the moon, according to what we just were listening to, is equal beauty to the sun, just in a different way, where other things are acting on the moon. It just talked about the wind, and then it went into the sun, reflecting off the moon, and the moon being part of the sun. So the moon, it's tying the moon to other pieces, like the wind, where it talked about the wind goes through different portals and blows in different ways, and that kind of like Gabriel flapping the wings of a butterfly, that kind of a thing. So the moon's like a conductor for that kind of energy.
On that day she becomes visible, and is for you the beginning of the moon, on the 30th morning, together with the sun in the portal whence the sun proceeds. And the 1/2 is prominent by the 7th part, and her whole circuit is empty, and there is no light with the exception of the 1/7 part of the 14th parts
Stella.
of light. And on that day when she takes up the 7th part, and the half of her light. Her light contains 1/7 and 1/7 part, and the half of it she sets with the sun. And when the sun rises, the moon also rises with him, and takes a half portion of light. And in that night, in the beginning of her morning, on her first day, the moon sets with the sun, and is darkened in that night with the 7th and the 7th portions, and the half of one.
I think that's when it's the new moon. That's the cycle that we call it. When we don't see the moon in the sky, there's no light shining off of it.
And she will rise on that day with exactly the 7th part, and will come out and become smaller from the rising of the sun, and shine the rest of her days with the 7th and the 7th part. Chapter 74. And I saw another course in
We
law
can
for
talk.
her, making her
Yes, you
monthly
can.
course according to that law. And Uriel, the holy angel, who is the leader of them all, showed me all things. And I wrote down all their positions as he showed them to me. And I wrote down their months as they were in the appearance of their lights, till 15 days are completed. And in 7 single parts she completes all her light in the east. And in 7 single parts she completes all her darkness in the west. And in
Duality again. We have light in the east and darkness in the west.
certain months she changes her settings, and in certain months she goes her peculiar course. And in 2 the moon sets with the sun, in those 2 portals which are in the middle, in the 3rd and in the 4th portal. She comes forth 7 days, and turns and returns again by that portal through which the sun comes, and in that she completes all her light and recedes from the sun, and enters in 8 days into the 6th portal, through which the sun comes forth. And when the sun comes out of the 4th portal, she comes out 7 days, so that she comes out of the 5th, and returns again in 7 days into the 4th portal, and completes all her light, and recedes and enters the 1st portal in
You
8
listening
days.
with us?
And she returns again in 7 days to the 4th portal, through which the sun comes
Do you
forth.
guys find this more interesting
Thus
than me?
I saw their places, the sun rising and setting according to
This is
the
the boring
order
part
their
of
months.
the Book of Enoch, in my
And in
opinion.
those days, if 5
It's very
years are
basic.
taken together, the sun has 30 superabundant days,
The others mean
and
harm.
all the days which belong to him. For one of these 5 years, when they are full, are 364 days. And the superabundance of the sun and of the stars is 6 days. Of 5 years, each at 6 are 30 days. And the moon recedes from the sun and the stars 30 days. And the moon brings in all the years exact, so that their place neither precedes nor recedes 1 day, but she changes the years with the exact justice in 364 days. 3 years have 1,092 days, and 5 years 1,820 days, so that there will be in 8 years 2,912 days. To the moon alone belongs for 3 years 1,062 days, and for 5 years she recedes 50 days. To the sum of these are added 62 days. And thus, in 5 years there will be 1,770 days, so that the days of the moon for 8 years will be
You should stay.
2,832 days.
This is so boring,
Her
though.
receding in 8 years is 80 days.
People are definitely
And
going to
all
leave the video.
days
I'm going to put a
she remains
timestamp at the
behind
beginning of
in
where
8
you can
years
click
are
underneath
80
the video.
days.
So you can skip
And
this.
the year is justly finished in accordance with their stations and the stations of the sun, rising through their portals, through which they rise and set 30 days. Chapter 75. And the leaders of the heads of the thousands, who are over all creation and over all the stars, are also with the 4 intercalary days, which cannot be separated from their places, according to the whole reckoning of the years. And these serve the 4 days which are not counted in the reckoning of the years. And on their account men make a mistake in them. For these luminaries serve in reality on the stations of the world, one in the first portal, and one in the third portal, and one in the fourth portal, and one in the sixth portal. And the harmony of the course of the world is brought about by its separate 364 stations. For the signs and the times and the years and the days, these the angel Uriel showed to me, he whom the eternal Lord of glory had placed over all the luminaries of heaven, in the heavens and in the world, that they should rule on the surface of the heavens and be seen on the earth, and be leaders for the day and for the night, the sun and the moon and the stars and all the serving creatures who keep their course in all the chariots of heaven. The angel Uriel showed me also 12 openings in the circuit of the chariot of the sun.
We're winning the
from
lottery.
which the feet of the sun come forth, and from them comes the warmth over the earth, when they are opened at times destined for them. There are also some for the winds and for the spirit of the dew, when they are opened at times, standing open in the heavens at the ends. 12 doors I saw
Open your
in
mind.
the heavens, in the ends of the earth, out of which come forth the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and all the deeds of heaven, from the east and from the west. And many window openings are to the left and to the right thereof, and one window in its time produces warmth, like those portals from which the stars come forth, as he has commanded them, and which they set according to their number. And I saw chariots in heaven, running in the world.
So it sounds like the left and right windows are kind of like angels and demons slash archfiends. The left and right, and the one portal that brings the warmth is, I think, the grace of God is what that piece is. That what you guys didn't want me to miss? Was that bit that the warmth comes from God, and then it talks about the stars and everything else giving light.
Experiment.
That the sun gives the light for the universe, but it also gets back energy from casting its light on things like the moon, where it was talking about there's a seventh of the beauty of the sun is the beauty that you get to see off of the moon, which is a reflection of the light coming from the sun. So in that way, it's kind of like a parable. Open your mind, I guess. Kind of a situation where the light is beautiful on its own, but when it can reflect off other things and provides form to other things, that also brings beauty back to the sun, which is kind of like God. God made us, God made angels, God made demons.
Terrified.
They're terrified. But God made those things because the light exposes that piece. The Holy Spirit of duality, that has the light and the dark, the creative on both sides, kind of competing, that force of nature. That's how God could make the fallen angels before they fell, knowing that they would fall, but still say there needs to be that space that they're really, really angry at me, so we're going to allow them to...
We're not bad.
I know you're not all bad. We're going to allow them to be very angry at God and teach humans things, and then humans take those and spin that into an even worse thing, where, like we were talking about with the unearned knowledge of before, it's not all them. Demons get a very bad rap for a lot of things that humans also do, where it's like, yes, you can be tempted and it can encourage your nature, but it's ultimately up to you to resist.
The man attacks people.
Resist that, yeah, because they do attack you. That man, that pesky man. Gotta stay under the Most High. That's the way to do it. Pray those prayers. Your life is a living prayer to the Most High. That's the way you live, and then the shadow can never touch you.
Above and below these portals, in which the stars that never set turn, and one is greater than all, and this one courses through the whole world. Section 15, Chapter 76. And on the ends of the earth I saw for all the winds 12 portals opened, from which the winds come and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face of the heavens, and 3 in the west, and 3 on the right of heaven, and 3 on the left. And the first 3 are those towards the
The 3 on the right that it's talking about there, it doesn't say it in the audio, but it does say 3 to the right, i.e., south of heaven. So there's a north, south, east, and west for variables. Heaven being the north.
east, and 3 towards the north, and 3 behind those which are on
Marble.
the left towards the south, and 3 in the west. Through 4 of these come winds of blessing and of peace, and through those 8 come winds of injury. When they are sent, they bring destruction to all the earth.
I think marble means duality, meaning pay attention to how each of these 3 as they go.
No, sir.
No, that's wrong? Okay, I'll shut up.
And to the water on it, and to all those who dwell on it, and to everything that is in the water and on the land. And the first wind from these portals, which is called the eastern, comes forth from the first portal, which is towards the east,
My
inclining
death was peaceful.
Are you guys saying that the portals are made from marble?
towards the south. Out of it comes destruction, dryness, and heat, and death.
Close.
And through the second,
Close. Marble. Maybe the exterior, the perimeter is made from marble, and the portal itself is made from energetic material.
comes forth the right mixture. There come peace and dew. And through the third portal, which is towards the north, come forth coldness and dryness. And after these winds towards the south come forth through 3 portals. Firstly, through the first portal of them, which inclines towards the east, there comes forth the wind of heat. And from the middle portal, which is beside that
So I think these portals are referencing the seasons.
one,
And so not necessarily the seasons, because you do get different weather in each season, but the different weathers that you can get across the year is a combination of these portals in this parable.
there come forth a sweet incense and a dew and rain and peace and life. And through the third portal, which is towards the west, there come forth dew and rain and grasshopper destruction.
Elric.
And after these northerly winds from the 7th portal, which is towards the east, inclining to the south, there come forth dew and rain, grasshoppers, and destruction. And out of the middle portal there come forth rain and dew, and life and peace. And through the third portal, which is towards the west,
Rain and dew and life and peace. Just notice water is attached to those 4 attributes as well. Because in the Bible, that Jesus was very much about the water and spirit. He was always by the water when he was teaching people, which is very interesting. He really did like the water. And then there's the walking on the water
My heart.
and everything else. Your heart? Fond memories for you?
which inclines towards the north, there come forth fog and hoarfrost and snow and rain and dew and grasshoppers. And after these, the winds which are towards the west, through the first portal, which inclines towards the north, There come forth dew and rain and grasshoppers, and coldness and snow and frost. And from the middle portal there come forth dew and rain, peace and blessing. And through the last portal, which is towards the south, there come forth dryness and destruction, burning and death. Thereby the 12 portals of the 4 portals of heaven are completed, and all their laws and all their destructions and their virtues I have showed to you, my son, Methuselah.
So virtues as well. That lady that touches Jesus, and he says someone took one of the virtues that he had. It's talking about those again here in the book of Enoch, the virtues I have showed you, and their destructions as well, pertaining to the portals of how the winds blow to balance things out on earth. And wind blows in each portal differently at different amounts to bring in whatever is called for in that
Bernadette.
season.
Chapter 77. They call the first wind the eastern, because it is the first, and they call the second the southern, because the Most High descends there, and especially does the Blessed One in eternity descend there. And the name of the west wind is the diminishing, because there the luminaries of the heavens diminish and go down. And the fourth wind, called the north, is divided into 3 parts, and one of them is for the dwelling of men, the second for the seas of water, and for the valleys, and for the woods, and for the streams, and for the darkness, and for the fog, and the third part with the garden of justice. I saw 7 high mountains, which were higher than all the mountains which are on the earth, and from them there comes hoarfrost, and days and times and years cease and depart. I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the rivers. One of them, coming from the west, empties its waters into the great sea, and 2 of them come from the north to the sea, and empty their water into the Erythraean Sea in the east. But the other 4 come from the side of then, north over to the sea, 2 of them to the Erythraean Sea, and 2 empty in the great sea, according to others in the desert. I saw 7 great islands in the sea and on the land, 2 on the land
They
and
never
5
found me.
in the great sea. Chapter 78. The names of the sun are these: the first, Arhares; the second, Thomas; and the moon names, Asonia; the second, Ebla; the third, Benasse; the fourth, Ere. These are the 2 large luminaries. Their circuit is like the circuit of heaven, and inside both are equal. And in the circuit of the sun there is a 7th portion of light, from which some is given to the moon, and according to a measure it is added till the 7th portion of the sun is ended. And they set and enter the portals of the west, and go around by the north, and come out of the portals of the east on to the surface of the heavens. And when the moon is raised, she is seen in the heavens, having in herself the half of the 7th part of the light, and in 14 days her light is completed. Also 3 times 5 portions of light are put into her, so that on the 15th day her light is completed, according to the sun.
Meaning eventually the sun will have, or the moon will have its own light. And it only will take 15 days. Once the light is placed inside the moon. It's very, very interesting.
What is in your hand?
I don't have anything in my hand. A mouse, a computer mouse that moves on the screen.
Sign of the year, and it becomes 3 times 5 portions, and the moon becomes so by the half of the 7th part. And in her decrease on the first day, she decreases to 14 parts of her light, and on the second she decreases to 13 parts, and on the third she decreases to 12 parts, and on the fourth she decreases to 11 parts. And on
Oh, this is the cycle of the moon that it's talking about in this book.
the fifth,
How old is this book? I'm gonna have to find that out at the end. I'll put that note on at the very last video.
she decreases to 10 parts. And on the sixth, she decreases to 9 parts. And
Who taught those people the astrology stuff? They were so smart back when those pyramids were being built.
on the seventh, she decreases to 8 parts. And on the eighth, she decreases to 7 parts. And on the ninth, she decreases to 6 parts. And on the 10th, she decreases to 5 parts. And on the 11th, she decreases to 4 parts. And on the 12th, she decreases to 3 parts. And on the 13th, she decreases to 2 parts. And on the 14th, she decreases to the half of the 7th part. And her light, which was left on the whole, disappears altogether on the 15th day. And in certain months, the moon has each time 29 days and once 28.
Badly.
And Uriel showed me
Once
another law,
28.
when the light is added to
February. Badly. Badly what?
the moon, and from which side of the sun it is added. All the time in which the moon continues in her light, she increases opposite the sun, till on the 14th day her light is completed in heaven, and when she shines in full, her light is completed in the heavens. And on the first day she is called the new moon.
The new moon. The light is completed in the heaven. Meaning the cycle is done? I don't know if that means that like every moon is a cycle, but this could be referencing to kind of like astrology and that sort of the study of that when it's talking about Azazel. This book is kind of like that, where like Enoch is talking about these things in this book, and it's very, very old. Some people say this book wasn't written by Enoch, but according to what it was just saying in the book, it looks like Noah was the one that wrote this book, and they were things that Enoch taught him that he put into it. That's what it was saying in the book itself. Maybe that's wrong, and it wasn't Noah too, but it was apocrypha and then taken out. So
For on that
Relation.
day light is raised upon her.
yes, Enoch was Noah's grandpa or great grandpa. One of those. But Enoch also in this story is talking about what Noah's destiny is going to be. So it may be a story that Enoch passed down to Noah.
Jordan.
Jordan.
As she is completed exactly on the day the sun descends in the west, and when at night she ascends from the east, and till the sun rises opposite her, and the moon is seen opposite the sun. Once the light of the moon comes, there again she decreases till
Expose.
all her light disappears, and the days of the moon cease, and her circuit remains empty without light. And 3 months she makes 30 days in her
A bad
time,
spirit.
and 3 months she makes each time 29 days in which she makes her decrease.
Give me one sec, guys.
First portal for 177 days.
Dude.
And in the time of her departure, she is seen each time 30 days
Phantom.
during 3 months, and each time 29 days during 3 months. At night she appears each time as a man 20 times, and during the day like the heavens, for there is nothing in her except light. Chapter 29. And now, my son Methuselah, I have showed you all things, and the whole law of the stars is completed. And he showed me all their laws for every day, and for every time, and for every government, for every year, and her departure, according to her order, in each month and in place in the sixth portal, for in that sixth portal her light is completed, and from then there is the beginning of the month. Also the decrease which takes place in the first portal in its time till 177 days are completed. In the law of weeks, 25 weeks and 2 days, and how she tarries behind the sun, and according to the law of the stars, 5 days in one time exactly, and when this place which thou dost see is completed. This is the picture and the portrait of each luminary, which the great angel Uriel, who is their leader, showed to me.
Hungry.
Chapter 80. And in those days Uriel answered and said to me, Behold,
I'm not
I
that
have
hungry.
showed thee all things, O Enoch, and have revealed to thee that thou shouldst see the sun and this moon, and those who lead the stars of heaven, and those that revolve, their deeds and their times and their departures. And in the days of the sinners the years will be shortened, and their seed will be tardy on their lands and on their meadows. And everything on the earth will change, and will not appear in its time. The rain will be prevented, and the heavens will retain it. And in those times the fruit of the earth will be tardy, and will not grow in its time. And the fruit of the trees will be prevented in its time. And the moon will change her order, and will not appear in her time. And in those days it will be seen on the heavens that a great unfruitfulness will come on the outermost chariot in the west, and she will shine more brightly than according to the order of light. And many of the leaders of the stars of command will err, and they will change their paths and deeds, and those subject to them will not appear in their time. And the whole order of the stars will be kept
River.
from the sinners, and the thoughts of those who dwell on the earth will err concerning them, and they will be turned from all their ways, and will err and consider them gods, and evil will increase over them, and punishment will come upon them to destroy them all. Chapter 81. And he said to me, O Enoch, contemplate the writing of the tablets of heaven, and read what is written thereon, and learn each one. And I contemplated everything on these tablets of heaven, and read everything that was written, and learned everything, and read the book, and everything that was written in it, all the deeds of men, and all the children of flesh, duration of eternity. Blessed the Lord and the everlasting King of glory, that he had made all the things of the earth. And I blessed the Lord on account of his patience, and blessed him on account of the children of the world.
Amen.
And at that time I said, Happy the man who dies as a just and good one, concerning whom there is no book of iniquity written, and against whom no blame is
Standing
found.
behind you.
And those 3 holy
Uh-oh.
ones brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and
You're an
said to
angel?
me, Announce everything to thy son Methuselah, children, that no flesh is just before the Lord, for he has created them. 1 year we will leave thee with thy children, till thou art again strengthened, that thou mayest teach thy children and write for them. Testify before them all, thy children, and in the 2nd year they will lift thee up out of their midst. Let thy heart be strong, for the good will announce justice to the good. The just will rejoice with the just, and will congratulate themselves among themselves. But the sinner will die with the sinner, and the renegade down with the renegade. And those who do justice will die on account of the deeds of men, and will be gathered in on account.
If you're a business
Uh-oh.
owner, then animated explainer videos are the best way to capture attention.
The deeds of the impious. And in those days they completed conversing with me, and I went to my people, blessing the Lord of the worlds. Chapter 82. And now, my son Methuselah, all these things I relate to thee, and write for thee, and I have revealed to thee everything. and have given thee books concerning them all. Preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from the hand of thy father, and give them to the generations of the world. Wisdom I have given thee and thy children, and those who will be thy children, that they give it to their children, the generation of eternity, namely this wisdom above their thoughts. And those who understand it will not sleep, but will hear with their ears, that they may learn this wisdom. And it will
She
please
killed.
those who eat of it more than food. Happy are all the just, happy are those who walk in the path of justice, and have no sin like the sinners, in the counting of all their days, in which the sun goes through the heavens, from the gates, each time 30 times, together with the heads of the thousands of this order of the stars, together with the 4 that are added and separate between the 4 portions of the year, which they lead and enter with them 4 days, and on their account will be at fault, and will not count them in the reckoning of the whole world, but men will be mistaken, and will not know them exactly, for they belong to the reckoning of the year, and are exactly marked forever, 1 in the first portal, and 1 in the third, and 1 in the fourth, and 1 in the sixth. And the year is completed in 364 days. And the account of it is true, and the mark reckoning exact. For the luminaries and the months, and the festivals and the years have been shown and given to me by Uriel, to whom the Lord of all creation had given command, in reference to me, of the host of the heavens. And he has power over
Vicky.
night and day in the heavens.
Think of how profound this would have been back in the day when they didn't know about like time and tracking seasons and everything. It would have been like, holy smokes, man.
That he may show light over men, the sun and the moon, and the stars, and all the powers of heaven, which turn in their circuit. And this is the order of the stars that set in their places, and in their times,
Where am I?
and in their festivals, and in their months. And these are the
Oh,
names
the
of those
closet,
who
bro.
made them, who watch that they enter in their times, and in their order, and in their occasions, and in their months, and in their powers, and in their positions. Therefore leaders who divide the 4 portions of the year enter first. After them, the 12 leaders of the orders, who separate the months and the year into 364 days, together with the heads of the thousands who divide the days. For the 4 intercalary days, these are the leaders who separate the 4 parts of the years. And of those heads of the thousands, 1 is placed between the leader and the led, back of the position, but their leader divides. And these are the names of the 4 parts of the year, which are ordained: Melchiel, Lemelech, and Nerel, and the names of those they lead: Adnerel, Jehusiel, and Elumiel. These 3 follow after the leaders of the orders, and 1 follows after the 3 leaders of the orders, who follow after those leaders of positions, who separate the 4 portions of
Lisa.
the year. In the commencement of the year, Melchiel rises first.
All right, we're going to stop. This is part 3 right now, so I might just recommend that people skip over part 3 because it's not as interesting. So I'm probably going to put that in front of this series instead of putting a timestamp when it's done because it just kind of kept going. So interesting a little
They will
bit.
attack.
I would say more interesting back in the day when they didn't really know about like seasons and years and stuff like that as a way of kind of explaining that in a parable form is very, very interesting. So I will see you guys in the next video, and we'll probably get the last piece of the Book of Enoch. I'll probably have that up after I get back. I'm about to go camping, so I have a bunch of stuff.
Footstep.
I have a bunch of stuff that I have recorded that I'm going to kind of upload is just the first week of the channel. So we have good info, and then from there I'll kind of create content that I'll just post kind of weekly. I'll pick some days and continue to just kind of keep posting as we go. Spirit Talker, we might do some haunted places with the Spirit Talker because this is just me in my house right now, and it's kind of interesting that some of the stuff that we're reading or listening to that it's tying up on, it even said no, that's not right for the marble, and then it said sort of after, like, it's for science. We're going for science. Spirit picks you. You don't pick spirit. So that's just how it works. All right, guys. I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. See ya.